My name is Frances. I work with the Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy, and I welcome you all to the third lecture in the Community Ophthalmology series. I'll quickly run us through the flow of the program. So I will start with the welcome and introduction, which is what I'll be doing shortly. Then I will hear the presentation from the speaker. We'll have our interactive session and our closing remarks. Just a few house rules. The lecture is being recorded, so we ask that please you mute your mic and have your camera turned off. Only the speaker is allowed to unmute their mic and have their camera turned up. I'll quickly introduce the Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy. It is a part of the Eye Foundation eye care system established in 2006 as the Desiree Community Vision Institute. It's a training academy that oversees the training of ophthalmology residents, fellows, middle-level ophthalmic practitioner, optometrists, ophthalmic nurses. Some of the entities under the Eye Foundation eye care system is the Eye Foundation Hospital, the Eye Shop, the Summit Vision, which is a management company, and the Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy. I'll quickly introduce the speaker today. Our speaker today is Dr. Hannah Fowle. She is a professor of international eye health, and I'm very honored to introduce her. She's a renowned ophthalmologist and a leading expert in the field of global eye health. Dr. Fowle is currently the professor at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, following a distinguished career with Sightsavers, which is a leading global NGO in eye health. With over 50 years of experience, she has made profound contributions to clinical ophthalmology, eye care programming, human resource development, and research. After retiring from her role at Sightsavers, which is a global NGO focused on eye health, Dr. Fowle has been at the forefront of advancing vision care around the world. Dr. Fowle's work has been instrumental in shaping global eye health initiatives. She was a key figure in the Vision 2020, the Right to Sight campaign, which aimed to eliminate avoidable blindness worldwide. This vision has evolved into the United Nations 2021 Vision for Everyone resolution, embedding eye health firmly within the global development agenda. Throughout her career, Dr. Fowle has worked to integrate local realities with global solutions, always striving to make eye care more accessible to underserved communities. She's a passionate advocate for the last mile patients, the irreversible blind and visually impaired. Dr. Fowle's work spans a wide range of interconnected issues, including the role of technology, commercial determinants of health, disability, equity, climate change, aging, and gender. Her commitment to evidence-based research and her mentoring role with institutions like the Eye Foundation Hospital Nigeria has made her a leading voice in the drive for inclusive and sustainable eye care. She's known for her dynamic leadership style. Dr. Fowle describes her work as cranking, igniting the potential of individuals and organizations to set off on a transformative path towards the future. In today's lecture, she will explore how ophthalmologists can serve as a cushioning bridgehead in the journey of inclusivity, offering crucial support for the blind and visually impaired while advancing the profession's role in a more equitable healthcare landscape. I'll hand over the floor to Dr. Fowle now. Thank you so much. Hello, Dr. Can you hear us, please? We can't hear you. Hello. Thank you all for your patience. Maybe she's having some technical difficulties. Just a moment, please. Thank you so much. Dr. Fall, if you don't mind, let me share your slides from over here, and then you can speak to it if that would help.
Yeah.
Thank you. Joseph, please, you can stop sharing your screen, please. Good morning, Dr. Fall. Please, can you see my screen, please?
Yes.
Is it okay? Should I put it in presentation mode, or you're fine this way?
Can you have the full slide rather than?
Okay. So please let me know when you want me to go next. Over to you, Ma. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
First slide. Have the full slide. Can you have the next slide, please?
The first one, the title.
That is on screen now.
Okay.
Can I have the next one?
Okay. I'm on the next slide now. Please let me know if that's what's displaying on your end.
No. What's playing on my end is the very first slide, the opening slide.
It's locked, sir. Eh? I have, that's what I have. Let me show you, sir. Please, can everyone else see?
We can only see the first slide.
Can we start?
Francis, you're muted.
Okay.
Can you see my, please, can you see my slides now, please?
I can see the slides, yes.
You can see my slides. Okay, please go ahead.
We could see them previously, but they've gone again.
Please, can you see them now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The
Apologies,
summary,
everyone.
the summary of the presentations are divided into two parts.
Sorry, Professor Paul, you are having some echo. I don't know if you are joined in multiple devices, but you are echoing.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you are echoing. Thank you, everyone, for your patience as we sort through the technical difficulties we're having. We hope to start shortly. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Fowl.
Presentation, this slide shows the summary, and it's in two bits. First part covers the definitions, the numbers being the person, our necessity, here reality of comments. And then the next block shows the meeting area between us and the public. The next one brings issue of irreversible vision loss. And the last bit, probably, which is the most important, what are the practicalities we should ensure we achieve at the local and global and really down to specifics. Next slide, please. The first is the definitions. Inclusivity, that's a new term to many, but not so new. Inclusiveness, rehabilitation have been all around for a long time, but now it has taken on a much more wider and prominent need. Equity, inclusion, fairness, lots of new narratives. But for us today, we'll be considering just two groups: the disabled who have eye problems, as in that slide of a lady, wheelchair being seen by eye care services, and the visually disabled who may or may not have other disabilities. The book in the middle inclusion made easy in eye health programs from CBM is a must for every eye health personnel. It captures everything. It's very comprehensive, and I would recommend it. But for now, the definitions make eye care services accessible and inclusive for people with disabilities, and assist people with permanent vision loss whose sight cannot be restored. For this lecture, I'll concentrate on the latter, assisting people with permanent vision loss whose sight cannot be restored. Next slide, please. I want to introduce this slide probably as in a visual form. I'm trying to situate at it from right to left. We've got the eye health services that the ophthalmologist and eye health providers provide. And the new thing I would like to introduce in this lecture is what I call a cushioned bridgehead, which is the inclusive eye health. The fact that cushioned for the visually disabled. And you know that they have to cross a bridge or a valley of disability to get onto joining or accessing comprehensive services, which covers the disability itself and the rehabilitation services. So our visual patients travel from the eye health services, and we can take them to comprehensive services, rehabilitation services. Those who have disability travel in the opposite direction to see the eye care providers, and they are the other disabled. And it's also part of our work to ensure that they can travel from comprehensive rehabilitation services to see and benefit from the eye health services. So it's really my favorite slide, the patients and carers perspective. I would wish to concentrate on the top travel. This is where I wish to emphasize on the changes which need to happen. We should not stop at the first box, which is the eye services, but give the patients and help them gain from the disability and rehabilitation service. It must be the cushion as they navigate their visual loss. Next slide, please. I would like to introduce the numbers game. This is the concept I want to challenge us ophthalmologists. Using the Nigerian survey as an example, the numbers: prevalence of blindness 6.1%, visual impairment 4.2%, numbers blind 1.3%, 1.13 million people, etc., etc. And we quote these numbers virtually at all presentations, all advocacy experiences. We use them a lot. But I want to quote what one blind person said, that it is only in the statistics that people go blind by millions, but that each person goes blind or visually impaired individually in his own predicament. And the photograph you see there is a photograph of Sir John Wilson. And he floored me when he said, only in the statistics that people go blind by millions. Each person was blind, visually impaired, individually, his own predicaments. His wife, Jean, died. And she is now over 100 years old. She's still devoted to the disabled. That's it. And how did Surgeon Foster Wilson, I put his middle name Foster, and I wondered whether the name Foster has something to do with eye health, because we do have Alan Foster, who's also walking in his shoes. But let me go back to Sir John. He was blind at the age of 12 from a laboratory chemistry accident. A Bunsen burner exploded. But that didn't deter him. And I just wonder that he did see an ophthalmologist at that point. He did have the best done for his eyes, and he did have a pronouncement of saying, I'm sorry, we cannot do anything more. But that didn't deter him. That was his predicament. But he turned it around. And World War II, commissioned by the British government, he went to West Africa, northern Ghana, to the villages where river blindness was endemic. And he termed the term then was onchocerciasis. But his wife said, well, I'm not an ophthalmologist. This is river blindness. And that name has stuck till today. So in his predicament of himself, he turned it round to the population. And he turned his vision into action. Because starting with rehabilitation, because he was blind, he founded the Royal Commonwealth Society for the Blind. And it's for his first few decades, it focused on rehabilitation services. But then he realized that prevention was more important. He helped to found the WHO Prevention of Blindness Program, 1978-1982, the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, and in 1983, Impact, extended his work from blindness to all disabilities. Next slide, please. When I say our necessity, it's about us, ophthalmologists and eye care providers. Why? What's our necessity? We are focused on scientific accuracy. It has to subtend this degree of angle. It has to be 20 feet from the patient, 6 feet from the patient. You know, the scientific accuracy, it has to be replicable. It has to be standardized everywhere. And we deal with one eye at a time. In addition, look at the performance of components of the visual system. What have we put in place for measurements? We have visual acuity, distance and near, and it has to be accurate, be done the same way everywhere. We do field tests, we do color tests, we do ocular motility, motion perception, dark adaptation, etc., etc. Slide, please. But what of our patients? What is their reality? What is that predicament that Surgeon Wilson was talking about? For them, I would say that it's their functional vision. It's their visual and task-related ability, skills. It's binocularity. None of our patients have clips. It's about the eyes working together. It's about their quality of life. And so what are the tests that we should have in place for them? What are the tests that we actually have in place for them? On both sides, the provider, as well as the patient. We measure visual acuity, distance and near. But have we looked at the way we measure the visual acuity? Is it their way? Is that how they would want to measure their visual acuity? We do the fields. What does fields mean to them? We do in ocular fields, but they go around with binocular fields. The color. What does color mean to them? Contrast is so important. Do we measure depth perception, dark adaptation, glare, whether they can focus or not, whether their eye movement goes with what they are seeing? They would like to have binocular vision evaluated. But do we measure alongside what we want, what they want to be measured? So, in addition to all these tests, what else is important to the patients? They think of their comforts, they think of their cosmetics, they think of their appearance, the value, the cost, how productive they are. The list goes on. The tests we have, the tests we use, which of those tests gets done? Which comes first? Our necessity of their reality. You all know my favorite phrase, the patient's perspective. Next slide, please. In the work we do try to measure the patient's perspectives. We have patient-reported experiences, patient-related outcomes, the from and from, the effectivity of our services, the safety of our services, the patient-centeredness, what are their needs, what are their preferences, timeliness, equity, quality assurance. These are all terms that we use to measure the patient's perspective, but most of the time, are they taking part and parcel of what we offer every day? Or are they research topics? Like this? I'm bringing back the slide. Next slide, please. I bring back the slide of Sergeant Wilson and David G. Wilson, just to demonstrate three things: abilities, support, technology. And I re-quote, it is only the statistics that people go blind by themselves. Each person goes blind from visually impaired individually in its own predicament. And so it was not about what Sir John had lost at the age of 12, but what he had left. Not just the vision of the eyes, but in the vision in himself, his whole person. And each of those things, each of those abilities can be maximized. So it's really about maximizing what he had left. Please note, yes, his eyes are something that time, but his whole self was still there. His wife was beside him. And if you look at his hands, he's reading Braille. His abilities, not his blindness, made those achievements listed. The next point was support. His wife, as you can see, sitting beside him, is support. How much do we know about support for our visually impaired patients? And the third thing to note is the technology. The technology of Braille was helping him to make the most of what he had left. Next slide, please. The slide is not. If the slide is not. Let me move to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. I'm moving on to the beginning of the bridgehead, the ophthalmologist and the irreversibility of visual loss. Imagine you are in the clinic, seeing your glaucoma patients, and there's always that point in the interaction where you say, I'm sorry, your vision cannot be improved. Your vision loss is irreversible. You're saying it to one person. But where is the number of irreversible loss in our statistics? Are we counting the number of blind or visual impairment years our patients, whether it's temporary or permanent? Come back and look at our work. We are the only ones by law and responsibility who can say and accept the burden of saying, I am sorry. Then, where is the irreversibility in our science, in our research, in our data collection? That little girl you see has received that sentence, I am sorry. So what was next for her, for her parents, for her blind ears? It is our business because we are the one that make that pronouncement. You say, I'm sorry, your vision cannot be improved. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. The ophthalmologist provides the services to prevent visual loss, to restore sight to as much as possible, to preserve what sight is left. But to our patients, what about make the most of what you have left? Vision. What about make the most of the rest of yourself? Make the most of your abilities. What modifications of our services do we make to suit those two areas? Making the most of the vision left, making the most of the abilities that we have. Yes, we do prevent loss. We do prevent pain. We do restore sight, attract surgery, classes. We do preserve what is left in glaucoma diabetes. But how much more do we need to do when we make that pronouncement? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So yes, of course, all these issues are, we could up all these thoughts, but where do we begin to solve? And I'd like to tell you, next slide, please. I'd like to tell you that we cannot throw our hands up. because there's a lot. What's available, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of skills, training, so on. That's available at the global level, the NGOs. And I want to point out to you that WHO used to be called the Unit for Prevention of Blindness. But the name has changed. It's no more called Prevention of Blindness. It's called Sensory Functions, Disability, and Rehabilitation. And it covers eye and hearing. The NCDs have rehabilitation and disability added to their responsibilities. At the United Nations, the chair of the Friends of Vision that helped to pass the UN resolution in July of 2021, Vision for Everyone, Ambassador Webson, he is blind. I'm sure many of you do know that the current president of the International Agency for Prevention of Blindness, Caroline Casey, is also blind. So these are two blind people at the very apex of eye health, moving eye health forward. Another thing, next slide, please. Another point another publication I want to draw your attention to is the Global Report on Assistive Technology. I would really encourage all of us to check those two publications. Inclusive Eye Health publication, this publication, and many other publications. And you'll find that assistive technology is not about wheelchairs, ramps, and so on. It also includes eye health. And what does it include in eye health? It's glasses. None of us would say that glasses is assistive technology, but it is. It assists the patient to make the most of what they have left. We have a refractive error, but the glasses makes them achieve full vision. It's an assistive technology. And I would say that it's another mastery and an embrace of the concept of making the most of what you have. The patients making the most of the abilities that she can. And our role in ensuring that that happens. Next slide, please. The third concept, next slide, please. The third concept I would like to introduce you to, not introduce because it's been around for decades, is the community-based rehabilitation matrix. If you look at it, it's got 5 columns: health, education, livelihood, social, and empowerment. And every disabled person needs these 5 columns and all the services, things that should be done in each one. So for every visually disabled person with irreversible visual loss, they will need to benefit from the contents of those 5 columns. And I think that it is a must for us to know the extent of what can be and should be done for the disabled. And it's to remind us that all disabled, including the visually disabled, also need all these 5 columns, which we should know about and how they can be linked or tapped into for our visually disabled patients. And for the other disabled patients who have no eye problem, when they come to us, we should be able to offer everything that is in the health column: the promotion, prevention, the medical care for their eye health problems. When they get the rehabilitation, the assistive devices, from others. So please, 3 things I've introduced to you: inclusive eye health, assistive technology, and the CBR matrix. Next slide, please. So how can we do this? There are lots of questions I'm showing you. What should we do? Our training is not for all of this. We are not trained to do this. So let me share with you what I think should happen. Next slide. It's a very busy slide, but I'll go through it slowly. And I want to say that charity begins at home. Charity begins with us, where we work in our centers, in our programs. And number 1 is that the functional vision assessment should be at par with other assessments. We have tools, global tools for measuring functional vision. But when you look at them, the content is foreign. Can we Nigerianize those tools? Measurements, visual action for the PROM, for the PREM. Look at them and adapt them to our country, our people, in a way that they themselves understand what does their quality of life mean. Assessment of the quality of care of patients. When we do that, it must include the management of the visual disability. And that means a conversation with those who can offer the assistance to the visual disability. Which means that on our part, we should have knowledge of services available, not just for visual disability, but for all disability. And I would dare to say the specifics to each department. In fact, orientation and mobility is a very essential part of working with the blind, showing the blind where to go. And we should have that training for all staff. Every ophthalmologist, eye nurse should know how to walk with the blind, to lead the blind. And when we say, I am sorry, I'm not to do any more for you, I am sure you all know that we throw our patients into a grave mental health situation. And we are not skilled to manage that. But we can have within the departments, a counseling department, with the knowledge and the skills to that patient when he leaves your room, knowing that you cannot do any more. We should have them in our departments. Because as you know, when they leave us, if that counseling does not take place, they seek it in other places. Those places will not provide what they need. They keep them, then they come back and suppose our patients come too late. What counseling did they receive when we gave that first sentence? I am sorry, your vision cannot be improved. What of our low vision services? Those who still have some vision left. Do we maximize that? So we must have low vision services, assessment and management in our various units. I go to clinics, go to other buildings, the infrastructure modifications are known to architects. It's part of their training for modifications for disability, visually disability, in particular in our units. Have we made our units visual loss friendly? Have we made them disabled people friendly? If not, we cannot preach to others what we do not demonstrate ourselves. And we have to be advocates to governments, to the architectural world, to builders. I know that in the most visually disabled country I visited was Hong Kong. Every street, every pavement, every building, the infrastructure modifications to cater to the visually disabled. I mentioned earlier the CBR matrix. We should know the disability services available in our environment and how we can link to them so that our patients who have visual loss still have so much abilities left. How can we help them make the most of what we have left of their vision? How can we link them to where the services are available? As part of the counseling, when you say to them, oh, go and learn Braille, you can do computer, you can use a library. It would be so nice if, instead of just talking, each of our units, we had a section where we can demonstrate those things for what is possible. A section where they can go and see Braille machine, what is used, that they can read again, somebody there to demonstrate to them what they need, environmental modifications that they can make in their office, visually disabled, in their bedrooms, in their kitchens, what lighting can provide, what contrast can be provided. We can have a section in our units which demonstrate those things. So instead of talking theory, can actually let their carers see what can be done to maximize the abilities they have left. I'm coming back to reporting what data we collect, including those numbers of our patients who are not just blind, but irreversibly blind or irreversibly visually impaired. How many years? I know that for children, those years ago, we used to count the child blind years. And if you did that, it would be the leading cause of blindness. So can we start counting the blind years that our patients live with? Then we make all that I'm saying part of our curriculum, part of our examination, part of our accreditation, part of one of the things we subspecialize in. Where we don't have answers, start doing the research, getting actions. I know it's a lot. It can be mind-blowing. But I would say just start with a few that you can do today, tomorrow, the next month, next 6 months, and build up as you go along. And also remember that it's a team approach. You can put together your team, irreversible visual and other disability and rehabilitation team in your departments. Surgeon Wilson had a vision. Though he was blind, he implemented it. And our departments also have a vision and implement that vision. The things I've mentioned, the officers of our colleges and our societies can take up the policy issues, can take up the advocacy issue, changes that we have to make in our respective governances, be it in the private sector or in the public sector. Some are policy issues. If we want to, we can. Next slide, please. So for an example, in the unit where I am, there's this painting on the wall. It's there all the time. It's a point of conversation, orientation, and mobility. How do you walk with a blind person? So it's not just in the teaching, it's in the game. All members of the public, all staff can see it. It's just one simple thing that was done. And for low vision, we had a room especially for low vision. Next slide, please. So this low vision room, it's used for demonstration, it's used for teaching, and it's used for practice. And you can see what is there. You have your low vision aids, you have your storage cupboard and shelves, you have a teaching table and chair, you have a practice. When the patient has been shown what low vision aid they can use, there's a place where they can come back and practice. There's an optometrist dedicated to that and have a low vision color contrast modification. You can see the handles of the cupboards have the black around them. A practical demonstration of a low vision modification in every room. But the best example of this that I have seen is in the LB Prasad. So let's make attempts to gather all the knowledge, all the examples that we have, see which of those that we can adapt in our own setup. Next slide, please. Again, I bring this book back. It's got so much in it. It's got what you can do in units, and it's got what you can do in programs. I would recommend it highly for us so that we can have inclusive eye health in all our eye units and centers, and inclusive eye health in the population eye health programs that we want. So usually when you have a vision of having inclusive eye health, tools are not available, but we are extremely lucky. Got lots of tools around to help us to fulfill that vision. Next slide, please. So thank you all for your patience and for your listening. Opened up a number of areas. I shall take comments and questions if there's time.
Thank you very much, Ma, for this very insightful lecture. So we'll have, if you have any question, you can either raise your hand and you'll be called, or you type it in the comment section, it can be read out, or you unmute your mic and ask your questions, please. Any questions or comments from the audience? I have Dr. Bolanle, your hand is up. Please go ahead and unmute your mic and ask your question, please. Thank you.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Hannah Files, for this wonderful lecture. I just want to find out this potential team we are looking at, who and who should be the main component members of this team: ophthalmologists, optometrists. Who else should we include in the team? Social workers?
First start
Thank you.
First start with the department where you are. Who is working there with you? Then, which one of those members of staff have any interaction with the blind patients? Ophthalmologists do, because you make the pronouncement to say, I'm sorry, I cannot do anything. The optometrist is there. The nurse who welcomes them at the beginning. The nurse on the ward who looks after patients who are blind, who leads them. Anywhere that a service is offered to an irreversibly blind patient, or a patient who is even blind but is in to have their sight restored, you can talk to each other and put together a team to say what it's to become. It's not about the profession, never about the profession. It's about that patient that we have said, I am sorry, I cannot do.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Do we have any more questions? Any more questions, contributions, comments?
Okay, I don't think, Francis, I don't think there's any more.
Okay. Thank you everyone for taking the time to.
But I would still advocate, please, we do not stop at, I am sorry, I cannot improve your vision. It is our business to see what's happening to that patient, make sure that patient gets the very best from us, from any other services that can make the most of their abilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have two comments in the comment section. One is from Dr. Masia, excellent presentation on what can be done. And then from Dr. Kunle Hassan, thank you, Ma, for a wonderful insight and presentation. It is always a delight to listen to you. So these are the comments we have. In the absence of no further questions, I want to thank everyone for your patience and for taking the time to join the lecture series. We do have this lecture series once every month, and the next edition will be circulated across. Thank you for your patience, and apologies once again for the technological glitch we had at the beginning. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma, for honoring our invitation. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for recording. If people want to, I'm sure they can listen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.